Thank you. Hello everybody, my name is Craig Bennett, and today I am going to get into a video on job security versus employment security. Now, this is a very important video, at least what I feel would be important with knowing what employment security is. But because of how things are, I'm just going to do things in reverse order in this particular video. I'm going to put timestamps down below, so check that out so you can skip around and do whatever. But I'm going to get into the solution into this, and then I'm going to get into the what is job security, what is employment security, and how do they relate and stuff like that, and go down that path. So let's get into, and by the way, check out the Patreon links and the donation links down below. Donate there to help the lighting setup and the camera setup and all the other stuff, so I can make higher quality videos. So let's jump on in. So as far as the solution, it's fairly simple. What you need to do is you need to constantly be putting out applications, even if you got a job. And basically, let's say that I hire you today and you work as whatever, it doesn't really matter, a job. If you're not applying for your next job, and some places will be horrified if you did this, but when you get into the $100,000 range, you should be doing this. Within a month, you need to start putting out applications for another job. Even if you like your job, you need to start putting applications for another job. It could be one application a month for all I care, but it needs to be something. And realistically, in my experience, and because this is coming more from the Wall Street people, the old time business model, the ones who got paid the most money, the 1% of the 1%. Well, basically, their thing is, before you even step in the door of a company, so I go work at your company, right? My start date is tomorrow. I need to put an application in to somewhere else today. And if you do it right, you can get a bit more between different companies and boost your salary up that way, which is not going to happen unless you're very unique, and it's the Wall Street people would do that. But the big thing with you as a probably an average viewer is put in one application at least before you even start, at least in my opinion. But within a month time, there should be one application out, and just keep doing that. It's up to you how many you want to put out, but you need to at least put one application out each and every month. And that's simple as that. And what that's going to do is the likeliness of you getting a job like that is just not going to happen. But you can use that as a backup. You can ramp that up, but starting from basically, let's say that you work for a company for a year. You get fired or laid off or whatever it be. Maybe the company just goes away. Now you're looking for another job. So you're going from 0 and trying to go to 3,000 miles per hour to get a next job. You might take a little time or whatever and pamper yourself, whatever, which is just the stupidest thing I've ever heard that some people do, but it is what it is. And you're putting money in a local economy, so I'm not going to complain too much about that. But when you start putting in jobs, again, you're going from 0 to whatever because you didn't put in jobs. So just by putting in one, it helps out quite a bit, so you can ramp that up. And then on top of that, what happens is you can get a feel, and this is the real reason why I want you to do this. is it's so you can get a feel if you're still valuable in the industry. See, what the problem is most people, they get into their position and they're valuable in the company, but if they are fired, laid off, or something happens, then they can't get another job because they're only valuable to that one company. And maybe they're not valuable anymore, so they're not valuable to anyone. And even if that company, you get fired or laid off, you're probably not going to be, going back there anytime soon. So you're screwed. So that should give you a hint what employment security is. So that's a big thing, is it allows you to know where you're at in the market, show you change your skills. It's just a reevaluation, and that's just a big thing. But again, if you did get another job or get an offer, I would say go through interviews and whatever, because you never know. You need to boost your interview skills up to see what type of questions they're asked, because the companies can say, I want this skill, but you can tell what's going on and what they really need by the interview questions. So that's why I advise you to go through the interview questions. Whereas, if you just said, nah, I don't want to interview, you don't know if they're really looking for that, or your skills are not valuable anymore, because they would have mentioned what's needed in the interview, hopefully. And if you get offered a higher paying job, then that's all plus. If not, you can say, nah, I'm cool. And there's no harm saying no. A lot of people think that there is. Yeah, if I offer you a job and you say, no, I'm good, and as long as you don't treat me like an idiot, then we're all cool. You come back later on and say, I want a job. I ain't holding anything against you. That's just how things are. And if a company does hold something against you for rejecting a job, you probably don't want to work for that job anyways. That's the company's probably going to blacklist you, and it's very difficult to impossible to prove that a company blacklists you from the industry. So that's a big thing to note. So as far as that goes, let's get into what is job security. What is job security? And keep in mind, I deal with a large audience across the world. Job security is basically how easy it is to keep or lose a job. So the higher your job security is, the less likeliness that you'll lose a job. And of course, you try to burn down the place, that's probably going to cause you to lose a job. But that's a pretty extreme thing to lose your job. But let's say that, you make a little tiny mistake. Instead of using a capital T, you use a lowercase, or because you wore a mostly orange color shirt today, or because the sky's blue. I've literally seen where ES and Fire at Will states, why did I get fired? Because the sky's blue. And it turns out they just didn't want to pay severance or whatever. Well, what happens is you got horrible job security. So, real world example. When I first came here to North Carolina, so as many of you know, I have a degree in aerospace. I got a background in composites. In fact, I got a bulletproof clipboard with me. It can stop a armor-piercing round. It has a Kevlar and stuff all within there. It's actually very expensive. Actually, take a look at it. But I made it when I was going through programs, and the Kevlar was just going to waste anyway. So I'm like, all right, whatever. But I obviously got experience in that. I can make crap and whatever. Well, came up here, worked as a composite technician for a while. And the company, like some people were saying, oh, I'm losing my job for the 8th time this month or whatever. And they weren't joking. The company, they had a deal with Beverly Perdue, a former governor of North Carolina, that if you hire so many people within a certain amount of time, then the state will pay for the building, the land, and some of the equipment, and also the company itself will get I forgot how much. I think it's like $200-300 million, but it's several hundred million, and that's that. they didn't have a turnover clause in there. So what ends up happening is I'll hire you, then I'll fire you, then I'll rehire you for the exact same position. That counts as 2 people. You keep doing that a couple times and that adds up fairly quickly. Well, what ended up happening is they end up doing that. They end up firing people left and right, rehiring them. And they fired me and the entire staff that I was with pretty much fairly quickly, one after another. And several other teams, and people were getting their jobs back and back for it. And you might be asking, why would a company do that? Well, the company, their headquarters is in their state, so the people who are making the decision doesn't really have to worry about screwing over a couple towns. And for the most part, I got no problem with what they did. I got a problem with how it was allowed to happen. You screw over someone, I technically don't. I got a problem with you being okay with that, or not so much being okay with that, but being willing to do that. But you doing that, I don't care one way or another. It's business. I can throw it out of the table and say that's business, right? And if it was me, I would have done that. I'm not gonna lie, I would have done that, and I'll tell it to your face. I wouldn't lie about that. But because what they had is they had several $100 million on the table, and they had to figure out how to get it. That's all they're interested in. That's quite a bit of money. With the governors, I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but with the governors, I know what they're getting out of it is, since there's a disconnect in the areas from west coast, west side of North Carolina to the east side, and all in between. Unless if you're in this immediate area, you weren't known about that. And the governor has definitely known about it, especially this current one. And he ain't doing crap. And it's not secret. It's just how it is. So what's happening is, the politicians, it shows great numbers on them that they're getting employment rates and all the other crap. The company, they're getting a crap ton of money handed to them basically. And that's, how it is. Now, my problem is more with the government allowing it, and specifically the government not putting the clause in saying you can't have X amount of turnover in order for that, and having a stupid low number for turnover. And that's just how that is. But I don't know. Apparently they had a deal between here and Jacksonville, Florida, and they picked here because of that deal. And I don't know if Jacksonville, Florida had the same deal and just putting in that clause or whatever it may be. But maybe that's the one thing that got the company to come in the area and started hiring people. So that's, just how that is. But that is an example of lack of job security, because you go there, you're expecting to get fired, or fired because it's fired, we'll say, but fired or lay off or whatever, and not keep the job. Many other places, like when I go do freelance work, I don't expect to get rehired over and over and over and over. I expect to, because I do project base. Basically, I expect once the project's done, I move on to the next. Not, I got this another one, and that's that. But the thing is when you get into that realm, if you know that you're in that realm, you need to make sure your employment security is pretty up there. The lower your job security is, the more your employment security needs to be. Now, what is employment security? Employment security, in a nutshell, is how easy it is to get hired into another place. And this is a fairly important thing, because what happens if you get fired today? Do you think you can get another job? And by saying I think, that says I don't know. You need to know you can get another job. That's why the solution, when I put in very start, about trying to get an air job, putting in an application every so often, and knowing the interview questions and knowing all these stuff, that will tell you for a fact if that's what's being sought after or not. So what you need to know is, can you get an air job? I know people who has doctorates. I know people who has masters and deal with business and liaisons between developers and the business people and stuff like that. They can't get a job. They've been out. Some of them been out of work since 2011. Some been out of work before then. Some been out of work a little after that. But even today, in 2016, they've been out of work for almost 6 years. Because they won't admit, someone won't admit that they got poor job security or employment security. And in many cases, you're not taught these things. You're not taught about employment security. You're taught about, you keep to the grind. You do what's passionate to you. You do all this stuff, and it's going to work out. And the truth of the matter is, it almost never does. You need to actually go for what is practical, what will make you the money, what will actually pay your bills at the end of the day and give you life that's comfortable, plus give you a little bit extra over in case for a rainy day, such as losing a job or maybe being out of work for a while. Maybe your work gets investigated and it has to hold all work for a while until the investigation's over. It happens. So that's a big thing to note, is you have those deals. You got employment security, you got job security. If you don't focus on employment security, well, what's going to happen when you lose your job? And you might say, I think it's going to be great, or you might say it's going to be great, but you actually know it's great without actually testing the waters. I can lead you to a clear liquid area, and you say that's water, and I'll be like, all right, jump on in it. And you start boiling because it's acid. Well, how well did that thinking and seeing something help you out? It doesn't. You got to test the waters. Whereas I'll be on the side doing a test tube and looking at it and say, oh, no, that's acid, you idiot. So that's a big thing. You got to test the waters. You got to make sure that the what you're in is hireable still to today, because you still might have a job for a very, very long time at a company, which is great, but you might be only valuable to that one company and no others. And if that one company just vanishes or something happens, then you need to find a backup pretty easily. So as far as that goes, that's pretty much as much as I'm going to get into this one. Again, employment security is basically how easy for you to get in your job. Job security is how easy it is to keep or lose your current job. If you got any questions about this or anything else, please leave a like, subscribe, share, donate some whatever to help the lighting setup, camera setup, and whatever. But hope you have a great day.